Do you have anyone from not these ecosystems? Someone from, I don't know, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Germany? Raise your hands. All right, a couple of people. All right. You guys are a little bit in a minority here, but hopefully next event, that changes, right? We do need a little bit of a information support for this. Yeah, all right, so in terms of the panel, just back to business. I wanted to invite kind of founders a little bit of like across the stages. So like a couple of superstars, people who have been in the trenches or are currently in the trenches of kind of, more early stage startups. And we found these people. We have Lech and Piotr. Again, they would introduce themselves. So I'm just kind of, briefing you guys. We have Lech and Piotr, who are both kind of fundraising superstars in the sense that they've raised kind of, tens of millions of dollars across, number of companies and are currently growing their scale ups. We have Jacek, who had an all-star engineering career and is now growing his seed startup. We have Rad, who has been involved with both startups and scale-ups in Poland and the US, and is now transitioning into being more of an investor. But he asked me not to tell too much about this, so I guess I'll leave the word to him. And then we have Natallia, who might be a little bit late because, as far as I know, she was actually flying in from the US. Who's currently building her first tech startup and is actively trying to get from 0 to 1 with both product and fundraising. Again, I'm sure all of you guys have more things to say when it comes to introductions. So I wanna ask you to the stage, and then please, Piotr, Lech, Jacek. Yeah, a round of applause, guys, please. And then Rod. Can you guys say it in the order we have you guys on the screen so that it's easier for the folks? Awesome, thanks. Yeah, a little bit of help with microphones. Can you? Okay, we have just 5 here. Okay, I guess I'll be standing. It's fine. I don't mind. Oh, so no, that's the one for Natallia, but. Do you guys think I should sit before she comes, or okay? I can do this. Yeah. All right, guys. So I want to begin with a quick round of intros. I've already briefed you, so hopefully you've had some time to prepare. I want to ask you 4 things. First, mentioning the thing you're most proud of in the past, just something that you want to share with the rest of the folks. Second, mentioning what are you up to now, the company you're growing, challenges, how can we help, etc. Third, mentioning one fundraising hack that really impacted your fundraising game. And then last, mentioning one fundraising fuck up that you've done and you wanna tell the others not to do ever again. Let's try to make this more or less dynamic. So try to cap it at like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then I have a bunch more questions. So we'll go through them. And yeah, anyone wants to start, or should I give you a little bit of a time to think and answer these questions myself? What do you guys think?
But shall we answer all of those questions at once or just one by one?
Yeah, you need to.
We can do one by one. Yeah.
I already forgot all of them. So.
Okay. So the first one is mention a thing you're most proud of in the past. One thing there.
I can start. So basically, we are symmetrical, raised 25 million in like 3 or 4 rounds, $1 million. And what I am proud of is that we faced 2 extinction events in our life, and we still operate. So with 2 times, we went from 1 to 0. So I have 3 startups in 1 company, and I think I'm really proud of that.
That's awesome. I'm gonna ask you about this later on. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's see here. So much more general, what I'm proud of, and I think the kind of message to you all. I'm super proud of that. I never. That I really went through and to pursue my ideas and try to make them a reality and not go to just work for someone else. So I'm really proud of that, and I think you should really do your best and try really, really hard because you will become really proud of whatever you do. You will have failures and ups and downs, and it will not be easy. But the amount of satisfaction to actually try to do and make a reality of your idea, that's really cool, and that's I'm super proud of doing that.
That's awesome. Startups are hard, so yeah. All right, Jacek?
I'm super proud that actually got the opportunity to see a little things before there were like cool and big. I was like NVIDIA CUDA in 2010 before it was cool as intern. I was knowing in 2011 that the cloud and big data is going to be like a real thing, and I joined startup before revenue, and it went IPO on Nasdaq as like a 20 employee, and even after crash, it still got acquired for $1.7 billion. So I'm really proud of that.
That's awesome.
So the personal achievement I think that I'm most proud of, that I helped to save a really important demo when I was at NVIDIA. That was like super. That made me realize how fragile are the startups. Even though it was a big company, they had like a startup unit. They invested a lot of money, and then all of a sudden they failed to deliver on time, and they had 2 weeks to deliver something new. It's all scheduled, all marketing budget was already allocated, and it had to happen. So probably that was the most, like, my personal achievement that I'm most proud of. But like in the context of startups, I think that the grittiness and believing in people. So quick story: we failed 4 times with my co-founder, and on the fourth try we got into YC because I believed in this guy. So that was like the really important thing.
Yeah, that's pretty important. All right. So the second question is, what are you guys up to now? Just share a little bit of a context for the rest of the folks.
Okay, so I can be first. So right now I'm running the third iteration of my business, getting from so actually at Symmetrical we managed to get to from 0 to 1 3 times, and this is the third time we got from 0 to 1, and I'm trying to go to 100. So this is I want to scale my business again.
Where do you feel you're now in the scale of 2 to 100? Do you feel like you're still at 2, or are you at 10?
I think that we are quite, so we have a product market fit. We know how to scale, but still, so I would say that we are a kind of like a little bit pre-Series A stage. But we already raised our Series A. So
Okay.
So I run my 10th startup right now, and it's called SunRoof. It does building integrated solar roofs. So instead of doing first a roof and then putting solar panels on top, it's a 2-in-1 solution. There's no one more powerful than us on the market. We can make the roofs cheaper than a roof plus PV on top. It's lighter for the buildings. It's lower CO2 footprint. And we've proven in the 4 years, basically, when we've started to scale the business, that we have become the largest also at least in Europe. I don't know about Tesla, but yeah, so we are leader in the building integrated solar roof solution.
Amazing market, amazing problem.
So I feel I graduated from like PhD and MBAs working for others, and I co-founded my own startup. And we raised $2.5 million. Found a lot of people in B2B excited about this space. Now we want to make changes in your database easier. It's like a technical dev tooling product, and we are now, I would say, at like a pilot phase. So we have like a private alpha stage. We are having like some pilots, handshake deals. And I feel like right now is like the time that we want to materialize some of the previous commitments to show that the company is working end to end.
Cool. All right, Rad.
Yeah, so we are iterating on our 2 startups that I'm involved with right now. But on the side, we are also trying to improve the local ecosystem. We are involved with creating like a product school. That's one thing, but we are also.
What kind of product school? What does this mean?
So this is a very fresh thing. So I'm like, it literally got conceived on like Wednesday. So, but like that's one of the.
I match your speed.
Yeah. So
yeah, clap, please.
So because like on the other hand, I'm also as you mentioned, I'm transitioning more towards investing. So we've seen that there's a lack of product talent in Poland. Like there's not maybe talent, but like lack of product knowledge, and we want to address that with practitioners from that field. So we are trying to build right now a course where people will be able to share their ideas and learn from the best practices that we've learned across our careers.
Got it. That's awesome. We have such an amazing panel. I'm speechless. All right, guys. The next question is, what's one fundraising hack that you want to share with the rest of the folks? What's something that impacted your fundraising game the most over your career?
I can start again. So my best hack was that I got to realize that there are no hacks. Okay, so fundraising is all about strategy, tactics, and building trust with the investors. And the growth hacking is not about building trust. So I believe that if you make the strategy right, the tactics right, and if you can build trust and competitive dynamics, you will fundraise. And then if you don't have the right strategy and tactics, if you don't build trust, no growth hack will help you.
So maybe I'll actually build a little bit on that as a hack. So I think you have to see fundraising as really a salesman's job, right? And it's like with all your products that you want to sell, not all customers, not all people are your customers. You have people that are interested to purchase from you. The same thing with investors. They have different strategies, different stages. Not all investors will be interested to invest in you, and you will not know that. So you will have to meet a lot of investors, and you have to have a lot of meetings, and you have to pitch, and then you'll fail on some pitches, and then you'll succeed on others. And so it's really a lot of work to do that. And I think the hack I would like to share with you is that when you start to fundraise, you have to know it's a lot of work. It will take a lot of time, a lot of effort. So the hack is to really concentrate, prepare, and then go out and be really kind of very intensive and deliberate on your fundraising, and not try to do that with like a side thing. So I think that's a hack I would suggest to you, to really go for it and be very focused and concentrated, because there's a lot of work that you need to do, and just
Basically, treat
squeeze it.
fundraising like a full-time job, right?
Yeah, it's more than a full-time job, and then you have your
For
startup.
sure. Yeah.
I actually not there is like some hacks, but I actually believe that you need to have like some solid fundamentals. And if you are in B2B enterprise category that you plan to derive majority of revenue from big customers, there's like a very simple thing that you could like simple to describe, not simple to obtain. Thing that you have like at pre-seed level. Just find your buying people that want to buy you, that you have like a trust, that you have like a notes from those meetings, that you could pass those notes to investors. And if investors are skeptics, you could like, you could schedule like call with them. And you also know from their portfolio who was the investor. So bonus point, find some people from their portfolio or from their successful companies who want to be your customer, or you suspect that it's likely, and ask that for them. And that's probably the easiest thing. And you are surprised how little B2B enterprise companies at this level have that kind of like a thing. That they have like someone, they have nothing, or literally nothing, and somebody like sitting at the other company says, yeah, I would buy this thing for $1,000K per year if that thing would work.
Well, so when you say this, do you mean like actual like signed contracts, or do you mean like like LOIs or like conversations?
It depends on the market. I would say if you have this conversation, right? If you have this conversation, they say, oh, we spend this amount of database, and they are like happy to like informally say that. I would say later down the road, probably have to be LOI. I believe in software, people are not so formal, so they like rather say, this migration was a mess, I would pay for that. I don't think, it's very hard to even get that. So I don't think LOI is probably if you're already company or already have some money.
Got it. But yeah, I mean, for sure, selling first before fundraising, that's a hack. Yeah.
Damn, now it's hard after 3 really good answers. What I have to say. So I think just be honest. Like understand that on the other side of the table, there's a person that got money from investors, they need to allocate money now towards different projects, and they need to make returns on their investment. So definitely I would advise to understand like what's the VC business and like what parameters of the deals they have to meet in order for even consider you. That's one thing. And also be very diligent and like very honest about like what's your business doing and like what are you trying to build and like like what's the strategy, because like give me a few millions and I will figure it out. Like yeah, that sounds like a lawsuit or something. Like I know, I'm not sure. And a lot of people surprisingly have this attitude that okay, give me something, I will come up with something. That's BS. But also like a hack that Jacek mentioned. So we are trying to invest in AI B2B startups, and it always makes my eyes shine if I see some traction. So if you can sell, if you're an insider and you have few deals ready, and that's often happening. Like a lot of the time, like really smart engineer, I'm like engineer, so like a lot of the time, a smart engineer works on something, sees that the company built something that is valuable, but it's only in the context of this one company, but it could be used in other businesses. So then extracting that, contingent on you not stealing anything, and building it as a business, that's a great strategy, and I would love to invest in such startups.
Can I add one?
Yeah,
more?
of course,
So-
of course.
so
Go ahead.
one small hack. So don't get too excited because of lots of VCs and Sequoia, Axel want to meet with you. It's just because they are paid to meet with you, not because they are excited about your opportunity.
Yeah, that's true for sure. Especially if it's not a partner, right? If it's, I don't know, like an analyst reaching out or an associate.
Justin Horowitz talk to me. Yes.
So yeah, and these days, just like I say, like Sequoia, so there is like Sequoia Scouts. Just do your favor and look on LinkedIn how many of them are, right? And look what they're doing. They literally buying information right in every startup. That's what they're doing. They're not investing, right? They give you some money, but they get information. So do yourself a favor, like for every investor you talk to, who are you talking to? Are you talking to associate? Are you partners? Do you know which partner is doing that kind of deals? What were last deals? And literally, like it seems like as B2B process, you need to be very good at qualifying your leads. Like don't talk to funds that are very unlikely doing like a seed deals. You could not find in PitchBook any last of their seed. Talk only to those that are actively investing. They did deal the same as you want. And in my books, you need to have like a list of 50 of those VCs to make that process successful.
Totally, probably more than a 50, right? If you wanted to, if you don't do it with a good conversion.
So I wanted to comment maybe a little bit on what you said, because it sounds, maybe if you listen and you're a kind of first time founder, it sounds like you have to get traction and sales before you can actually fundraise. And I would say, yeah, that's really helpful. And my comment to that is that you might think as a first time founder that you have to first raise the money to get going. And that's not true. I have seen so many startups, so many people searching for money to continue to develop their product, but they already are ready to go. They are already the basic product, the go to market. You can really go out on the market and try to sell. So don't think you have to raise money to get out on the market and try to sell your product. That was a comment.
Totally. That's actually, a good segment into the fuck ups thing. Have you seen a lot of founders doing this fuck up, kind of, just raising instead of like actually just building, just selling and experimenting, etc.?
Yeah, well, I'm guilty of that as well. So it's based on my own learning, right? So done so many different things too long. I could talk about a lot of stories. A very short anecdote of online food ordering. I guess you might know Glovo, for example. So that's kind of the company I was involved in really early. So when we wanted to digitalize restaurant menus, we spent a lot of time to develop software for restaurant owners to get the orders. And then after 9 months of developing the software, going out to restaurants, and then suddenly like, hey, the restaurant owners don't have a computer. Our software is useless. okay, we can fix this. We will sell it with a computer. And then, okay, another hurdle was that, okay, they have to buy a computer with internet access to get our software. So, spending more than 12 months on realizing that this is completely the wrong way to deliver the orders to the restaurants. And then we had to build a dedicated kind of box with a printer so that they could receive the orders. And that have become kind of world standard today in online food ordering businesses. So that was a really real life example of really wasting a lot of effort, energy, time, and not going out to our customers and actually seeing how they work and what they actually are interested in. I did the same with another startup, did a spin-off from the University of Technology in Luleå in northern Sweden, and that was with a researcher, and he wanted to develop the software better, the algorithms, and the box was too big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's get another grant and develop this and make it better. So I actually got so tired about this with him, so I tricked him into a meeting with a power utility company, and we had an idea of how this product would work, and it would be a B2C thing. But then when I tricked him into a meeting with the power utility and they told us about their problems and that we could actually solve it and have just one customer saving millions, then we had a completely different business idea and could pivot. Again, waste of a lot of time, a lot of resources, and so on. So, yeah.
But so what you're saying is more about kind of iterating with customers, right? So it's not
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
so much about kind of fundraising as it's more about just if you're building something, just don't build in your garage, right? Not showing anyone, and like just try to sell.
Yeah, go out and especially if you're kind of pre-product or pre-seed or seed stage, I think you really need to go out to the market with a product. And one of the best, depending obviously on your kind of product as well, and so, but the best investor is a customer, a paying customer. So
That's
For
absolutely
sure.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered one additional hack. Get into AC. That really helps. Like that's like really, if you get there, like it's impossible to not raise a round. So that's you then you can fail, but like usually you get a round. So that's
So why do you think it works this way with YC,
it's
in your opinion?
the same as if you get into Harvard. Like it kind of means that you're smart, but like you can be then like flawed in other ways, but like you kind of smart.
So is there, in your opinion, is there any other way to replicate this kind of feeling of FOMO if you're not talking YC, if you're not talking
They are very smart
Harvard?
because they build it around the network effects. So it's
For
actually
most of the founders here, they would probably not get into YC. So what do you think they should
they
do?
should like why not? Like you're competent. Like if you're in technology, you can build stuff. Like now you just need to figure out how to distribute it, like how to yeah, like how to share it with the world and like make them know. Like YC is very open to recruiting people from overseas. It's actually very unfortunate that so little teams from this region go there. I think that's because people don't believe in themselves. That's like my main like hypothesis right now. And how to replicate that, I don't know. Like we will try to do it with our own network effect of startups helping each other. Because right now I see that not a lot of startups are helping each other. Maybe that's the way to do it.
So how do you think we can make startups help each other more? Is it like, do you think it's about kind of, I don't know, like introducing your startup to other people, or is it about, I don't know, like buying each other's software, or how do you make it?
So that depends on your needs. Like a lot of people like actually lack knowledge, so that's one thing. Like they like what's really good about YC is that you basically get MBA for startups. You go there, they don't care what you know. Like you will be taught all the things that are relevant, and you have to just apply them. And then like really good hack is that they give you startups that graduated from YC and tell them use them, and like all of a sudden the startups are really big, and if you have enough critical mass, the flywheel gets started and like it's hard to stop. So definitely we will try to do something similar here. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's those are two things, like knowledge sharing and then cross pollination. The other thing, just like helping each other in hard times, or cross selling. Like a lot of like startups are really hard, and like you might doubt yourself at point, and like actually being able to talk with somebody who goes through similar problems, it maybe raise your like your mood. um so yeah, and then like you would be surprised how many sales calls, because like if you're a startup, you have a lot of time, you go deep into the customers needs, and all of that discovery, if not addressed, is wasted. But if you have a friend that does something similar, you just can say like, it's not me, but like this guy knows how to solve your problem. So I would say that.
Totally.
I say like one alternative to YC or the other incubators is just to go work, but that's like a long process at successful startup before. Right? So if you work at a company that managed to direct list, IPO, or liquidity ever over billion, or hopefully you work at Symmetrical, SunRoof, and then the founders say, oh, that was the excellent person, while the company is very successful, then people treat you completely different.
That's definitely, I did 100% support this. If you feel like you don't have enough experience or grit or whatever to go build your own startup, the best thing you can do is to go work for for another great founder, right? And to make sure he vouches for you the next time you create a startup, right?
And that's also like a really thing, because if you see how this, if you're a small enough company, I not see like 1,000 people, but like less than like 100 or maybe 200, then you could see how a lot of things are moving, what people are doing. So you're actually not learning ropes and mistakes on your own. You actually kind of like knew how to set up things well, especially if you are doing in similar playbook, like B2B, I believe so. Like B2B, B2C is a little bit harder. And also, like, I would just say, like, if you were early at OpenAI, and even if you were terribly performant, you get fired there, VCs will still give you money.
Do you guys want to add anything on the hacks topic, or should we move into the spicy fuck ups topic? All right, can you share one fuck up that you've created, done over your career that you that you wish you've never done, that you want to share with? Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing, guys. Yeah, a round of applause, please. So I have a bunch more questions, but maybe before we do this, does anyone wants to kind of ask questions from the audience? We have the time again. Like I asked you guys to be proactive, so if anyone wants to ask a question, go ahead. I see a couple of hands here.
Hello, I want to ask a question for Lech. You said that bad investor may kill your startup. Could you please provide some example or describe this?
I have one fuck up, but I haven't done it, but I was in a fuck up. So actually, it was before our seed round, and we had great traction, and we signed the term sheet with great investors, and we were like a few days before signing the contract for investment. And during the time, we lost all of our revenues after the term sheet.
How?
Before signing, it was like we were serving, like we helped hospitality employees to get paid faster, and we served hotels, restaurants, and the pandemic just started. Everything was closed. In a day, we lost everything, zero revenues, and then of course the investors like called us, okay, how it is doing, how it is it doing? And we told, and then we were just thinking what to tell them, okay? Because it was like they couldn't check. So we could sign the deal and then tell them we are fucked up, or we can tell them upfront, and we were afraid that they will just reduce the valuation, which was quite high. And we decided to tell the investors, okay, guys, we just got from, I don't remember what amount of revenues, to zero, but we want you to keep your terms. We want you to not to lower the valuation, because because it was not our fault that there was a pandemic, and if you lower the valuation, we would not trust you, and we wouldn't work with you. So we either close the business today, or you chip money. And they invested, and they didn't change the valuation. So I think it was a tough decision and huge fuck up, but somehow we survived.
Wow, that's quite a story.
was a success, I would say. No, so I'll share. So then,
Yeah, but if they said no, we would just close the business.
Yeah, no, sure. But I'll take that opportunity and share with you two fuck ups from my side then. So one thing is that I stopped fundraising when I thought I had an investor in advanced stage. Not that they said we're happy and so on, but really like really term sheet stage. And they had actually signed term sheet, and then this was a peculiar situation, but for some reason the whole fund just stopped and said we will not invest in anything. I think their LPs got some financial issues and they didn't have money to proceed to the fund so they can invest. So post term sheet, the fund suddenly said we have no money. And you know, being very sure when you have a term sheet, you really think you've kind of closed the investor. And my fuck up was that I stopped fundraising when I got the term sheet because I thought I had done that.
And so
that
when
fundraising.
I'm just curious, when you said stop fundraising, do you mean like stop talking to new VCs or stop,
Exactly. So
converting some of the
exactly,
existing ones that you've
I
had?
thought I had the fundraising done because I had a term sheet and they
But-
were really interested.
But technically, there's usually exclusivity in the term sheet. So formally, you cannot talk to anybody else.
Yeah, but you can negotiate with the term sheet, and you can still fundraise,
Ah, yes.
and but not sign, for example,
yes,
and
yes.
you can not sign any other. So, but stop building the pipeline with investors and stop talking about your company and just keeping the others warm and so on, because I thought I had closed the deal. And that almost caused the whole company to go bankrupt. So that was one thing. Really, never stop fundraising until you almost have the money in the bank account. So that's one thing. The other thing, I would really recommend you to do is to really research who you are actually letting in. I really wish every one of you are very successful in your fundraising and you have a lineup of investors and you can choose, because sometimes you're really successful and you can have, you're oversubscribed. You don't want all the money and you can pick and choose. So sometimes you don't have it. You just have, less. But if you have a choice, or even if you have a very bad choice, you should really research that investor and really.
So when you say research, like what things should people pay attention to, in your opinion?
So I would, it's like hiring a person without doing reference checks. So, and with VCs, it's actually quite easy because they have portfolios usually on their website. You can see what portfolio companies they have, so you can, connect with the founders of these companies, even if you don't want to ask the VC directly to give you the contact with them.
Don't ask, because they will give you only the happy path.
Sure. So really researching. And I took in an investor in a different startup in my history, which I didn't check, and I didn't feel it was great, but it was money, and I was happy that I had an investor, so we signed. And the amount of issue, stress, and everything with such a bad investor on your cap table is a nightmare. And I've seen this also in other companies that I've invested in, which brought in a bad investor. It basically can kill your startup. And I learned so much from this that in SunRoof we had an investor that suddenly turned bad. And I said to myself and my investors and colleagues that I rather bankrupt a company than sign with them. So you really make sure that you don't onboard bad investors.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Do like they are doing due diligence on you, you do due diligence on them. Like it's a relationship. It's not like they're giving you money, so you have to do whatever. Like go and ask the other founders like how it's working with them. If it's good, you will know. If it's bad, like you will also know. And yeah, we were in a similar situation. We were like, okay, like this doesn't make sense. Like, okay, this is a successful company, but it's such a horror to work with them. Like, we can bankrupt it and then do it again, or like fuck them. Seriously, that was the feeling at the moment. And also like few other things, but Yeah, like everybody says that there are smart money, but it's the same as with a smart person. Like, do you know any smart person that actually says that they're smart? Like, go and talk around like I'm so smart. Like, it's usually not the same way. The results speak for themselves, and usually the smart money is bullshit. There are very few people that are actually smart.
Fully agree.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. It's a rather sad story. So I'm, I'm not sure if there's applause here, but okay, if you feel like. Yeah. So that's one thing. Yeah, like something more actionable on your end. When you're coming to the meeting and then you're saying that we have no competitors, yeah, that you didn't get the deal. Like that's really bad signal.
Have you done this in the past?
No, because like I was always afraid that we have too many competitors. But like I've been on the other side, and then like startups come to me and they say like, oh, we have a great idea, invest in us, build it with us. We have no competitors. And I'm like scratching my head, and like I'm really into startups, so I do research it a lot, and I'm on top of my head. I give them 5, and they are like, whoa, we didn't know about them. So okay, so switching roles. You're asking me for a few million to give you money to build something that already existed and you don't even know it. Yeah, that sounds like a great strategy. So yeah, that definitely this is the thing. Also know your numbers. Like if you have some traction, know what's your customer acquisition cost, what's the lifetime value of the customer, if you can afford to have it. And like have a compelling strategy, like how you want to make it a business, because a lot of people just have wishful thinking.
Totally. What's your one fuck up that you want to share?
The investor part. But I cannot share. I'm not. I'm actually contractually obligated not to share.
All right.
I could share one backup.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe personal, but like, think of that, you think like a startup and fundraising is one-time event. No, you're always in your life investing. You're investing your time. What are you spending? What are you learning? Every time, either you are investing your time or like gathering investor, always it's happening. And my biggest lessons, like my biggest enter portfolio, I knew like, I was really interested in database during studies. I changed data format of HBase, which is like database at Facebook. And then during studies, I got offer from company called VectorWise. From Martin Żukowski, I met with CEO, founder. I was really excited, but then I did my research and I concluded that this is like a wrong opportunity because they are single node, they need to re-architect, the cloud is coming, it's like a back deal. And I was actually really proud that this turned out to be true. They went acquired for a small amount. And I forget about this. And I was right. I was completely right. But then the same person, sometime later, founded like a Snowflake. Right? And it was like at the same time, where I was having like a right thesis, big data in cloud makes sense. But because I wrote this off, I did not reach out to him, which was like terrible mistake. It cost me so much money. I know, and Sumo was worth like at the end 1.7, Snowflake, like 40, 60 billion dollars. Very expensive mistakes. I think that, not reevaluating your choices, same thing about like VC. Sometimes, you may have like a bad feeling, but maybe situation change. You have to reevaluate your choices when the new data comes.
But with this specific example, I'm just curious, like, were you thinking that you could have angel invested in his
No,
startup or like
I could join.
co-founded him?
I could join as a
Okay.
as an early employee. I know these people. I know they were hiring. I just did not reach out at the right time.
Okay. Yeah. It's very hard to kind of see these things, back in the time. Yeah. Would you have done things differently, or you think that your life is your
Of course,
life?
I would do that differently. That's like regret, but it's like very easy to like invest backwards in time. You would make such a good return of hedge fund if you could like
Totally.
use historical.
Totally. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing, guys. Yeah. A round of applause, please. So I have a bunch more questions, but maybe before we do this, does anyone wants to kind of ask questions from the audience? We have the time again. Like I asked you guys to be proactive. So if anyone wants to ask a question, go ahead. I see a couple of hands here.
Hello. I want to ask a question for Lech. You said that bad investor may kill your startup. Could you please provide some example or describe this?
Yeah. Okay, so a bad investor can block further rounds. A bad investor can really poison the atmosphere. A bad investor can ask you to do stupid things. Usually, when you bring in investors, they start to have rights, and and that could be things. And then, if a bad investor starts to be known as a bad investor, then you have a bad investor on your cap table, and other investors don't want to go in there. Yeah, I think. I think that would be kind of very general without saying too much. But if an investor is not supporting you, or if they can't support you and just then they should stay away. But if they instead are very time consuming, then you don't have time to do your business, and you're going to constantly fight with these investors. And it can be, and I've seen this also on other co-founder friends. They can actually burn out the founder like completely. So it's really a relationship with a very toxic person. It's really bad for you. And building a startup is really difficult. You really have to put in a lot of work for a very, very long time. And if you are, and you will have so many different challenges anyway. So why have them also internal? So just really try to make them, try to avoid them. And I think that doing the due diligence, talking with others, how are they as investors, then that's a good thing. So taking that opportunity, Boris from Smok is actually my first. Yeah. He's not. He's on the opposite side. So Boris was the first investor I had in SunRoof, and he's a brilliant investor. So that's, you can have the whole spectrum. And I actually think that there's been occasions during SunRoof with COVID and a lot of other stuff that good investors can really help you survive during very difficult times. And it's not always amount of the thing about pushing more money into the company. It can be helping you find other investors, find other ways to do things, and stuff like this. So yeah.
I could tell you like one hack as a founder, like not only for fundraising but also for hiring. Learn how to do back channel references. If you're making key hiring decisions, that's maybe lower stake situation, still learn how to find references, not ask for them, just find somebody. Like if for investors, even easier. Just look at the web archive, look at the previous portfolio, look even at company that disappears from this site, they are never mentioned, reach out to them, never ask anybody about anything, tell them it's completely confidential, or if you don't know, there's a lot of underpaid journalists, investigation journalists, ask them to write a newspaper article, pretend to do that, and give you information. And don't tell anybody that you were doing that. You don't have to.
It's a complete coincidence, right? You mentioned that.
One more question. So, if you're talking about good and bad investor, like, can you elaborate a bit more? Like, what kind of promises did you have before you got in? You were invested, and what? How did how did VC fund? Like, how did they fulfill these promises? This added value, did they provide it to you? And what kind of added expecting and what you got? Thank you.
So you're talking about investors pitching that they have added value and not only money and smart money and so on. I would really so from my experience, it's actually not a lot of added value in those who are telling they have a lot of added value. It also depends a lot on the stages that you are at. So it's early stage. I think what is helpful is that if they have experience from actually being an entrepreneur and not just financial background, so they understand you more. I think very helpful is when investors can actually help you fundraise the next round, because when you're embarking on a VC-backed route, you most probably will have to fundraise multiple times. And helping you, it's like a stafette where you know, one VC is helping you find another lead investor, and that takes over and over, and that's very helpful to do. But yeah, I would say that I wouldn't count too much on these added value investors, even if they have portfolio companies or it's a CVC, so corporate venture capital, that you think that, oh, if they invest and you get access to their whole, I know it's a power utility company, but so for example for SunRoof, that maybe that then they could do lead generation for us, and we could sell a lot of things if we will be sold through this power utility. But then the corporate VC is just a completely independent thing without, they know less, or they don't know who is actually responsible for different things in the corporate, and have almost the same kind of distance to introduce you to the right people in the corporate. So yeah, I don't know really if I answered your question, but my general answer is that I would discount the added value part. You'll see later. I think doing research and seeing how it is to work together with the investor is really important.
So to counter that, I would not discount the added value. Like, you need to be very careful who you trust. But like, if you have the right investor or the right angel investor, you can totally get like amazing intros. Like, just like for reference, like if you get the right people, you can get like intro to a CDO or CEO of AMD, Facebook. Like, those people know each other and they like to help each other. But like, you actually need to have a person that is well connected and will do, like, in essence, like, think about what they're doing. They make sure that the money that they invested in your company will be multiplied. So they have all the incentive to help you. But like, you also need to find people that actually can do that, because like a lot of people just say that they can.
No, sure. Just to comment that, I totally agree that when you have investors, use them, like really ask them for things. I have to say I'm not the best to really ask for a lot of things. I could have asked for much more, but if you're hiring, if you're doing a lot of things, fundraising, or just review your deck or whatever, it can be so many different things you can ask your investors for. So use them, because they should be very, very helpful. And that can add value, not always. But what I mean is investors saying that they are added value, I would be a little bit cautious with that.
Awesome. Yeah. But by the way, just to sum up what we've been just chatting about, I think that just like folks mentioned, smart money investors is a myth, right? And the best investors can do is not get into the way and try to help you whenever you need help, right? Try to be a little bit more proactive at times, but that's as much as you can ask for, kind of from them, right? You don't expect them to run your startup, instead of you, right? And so we have a new participant in the panel, Natallia. As far as I know, she has been flying from from the US. So Natallia, we had a bit of an intro chat around 4 things, kind of, what are you most proud of? Just what are you up to now? You can tell a little bit more about your startup, about your fundraising journey has been pretty interesting. And then mentioning one fundraising hack and one fundraising fuck up. So yeah, whichever of these things kind of resonate with you, you can share.
Hi, thank you so much, and I'm sorry for being late. I've been trying to do my best to come over here. My name is Natalie. I'm 38 years old. I've been doing projects in maternity and female care for like 17 years now, and Soula is a project that I am currently working on for almost 2 years. And we have raised $1 million through these 2 years, and now raising 2.5. We have recently been accepted to Berkeley SkyDeck, and I have been there for a month of the first session. It's just 1% of all startups worldwide get there, and we are really proud of that. And Soula is a virtual assistant for a woman during, like, I studied it from planning for pregnancy in the postpartum period. Right now, we're expanding it to the female mental health well-being in general. And I'm really proud of having the investors and the team that I have inside. I have 3 Google guys inside. One of them was my angel investor, and right now he has become my CTO and co-founder. It's Andrei Kulik, and like most of you might have seen or heard about him, he has 2 exits and like 18 years in ML and AI in Google. The second thing that we do have a celebrity on board. I even have a couple of those, and I think that like Natallia is someone that you might have heard about. And I think that people who are surrounding me and the team I'm currently working with is something that I'm really proud of. Like everywhere where I get, and especially right now in the US, they don't care about MRR for right now for a company. Of course, it's important, but not for the stage like that. The biggest like wow for everyone is like, how did you manage to get the people like that on board, like investors like that on board, and so on. So my trick over here is really simple. I am always going with open heart, and I'm really like faithful to what I'm doing, for what I'm building, and I'm always trying to go really clearly and be really like true in the story I'm telling. And the people who I get as investors and get on board as like on my team are relating to the story themselves. So basically, money is the question number 2 they're asking, and the extent that we have to do like couple years, like not couple, hopefully quicker, that it's something that like comes after the mission and a vision of what you're doing. Because most of them, like all the relations that we had, were like, I know what you're talking about. Like my wife had that, or I had that, or like my brother's wife had that, my neighbor had that. I saw that. Like I want to be a part of what's happening over here, and like to make a world a better place. Like impact side of the startup is something which is like in our post-Soviet territory we call as if a startup has an impact side, this is an addition. Like right now in Silicon Valley, what I saw through this month, we had a networking. They have made us meetings with 200 people each day, like 20 minutes. You had meet and greets to get to become a part of a network over there. Is that if a startup doesn't bring any impact, I mean, like it doesn't change the world to the better place, doesn't change some technology to become better, to optimize something, to make it easier for people to work or whatever, then they don't understand why you're doing that. So I think if any startup that you're doing, any idea of what is growing inside of you has an impact thing. So if you will try to unfold that and try to talk not straight ahead from the money perspective, but trying to show how this is going to be a big change in like people's life and the company's life and the business's life, and the changes that brings not only like impact side but money as well, that might be a trick. I think that like I had a fuck up what I had in a fundraising campaign is your relations with your ex co-founders in your previous startups, which is really important. Like I had 2 deals that were not like successful. Most of them, one was for 500K, the other was for 300K. That was not succeeded because like they wanted me to make a waiver from my ex co-founder that we don't have anything about that. Which,
so are you referring to kind of founders who have left and they have equity, or
no? If even from the previous startups that you had building, or like companies that you've been like working with, and it usually takes a while to get that things. So sometimes you just can lose your investors and the relationship that you have been building. The biggest, I think, thing about fundraising is that this is a long-term relationship. So if you think that you're going to get your money in a month, it means you can get it in a half a year or 9 months approximately. So just be ready to like talk and negotiate and go forward and push it forward, and like finally before you get your money on your bank account is not the money that you got. So for example, right now, like I have won Shark Tank in Malta, and it's a big like international competition. So they've been due diligence us for a couple of months, and the money is still not on the bank account. So I don't consider this money as an investment yet. So I just go on working on them, but I don't see them on my bank account Doesn't mean that I can spend them on marketing on the team. So that's not the money I got, right? So whenever the money is in the bank account, that's the investments you got. I think that the strongest thing in a fundraising is your networking. Like even now, after this month over there, I saw that like whatever you hear about like OpenAI, Perplexity, whatever, this doesn't happen just because the idea is brilliant. It's just that today I invest money in you, tomorrow you buy the startup of my wife, then my wife will be investing in your sister's startup and so on. That's just the networking that you have. So don't invest in getting the money, invest in building the long-term relationship. And then the relationship has to be long-term. So you cannot be a come and go person. Right now they were asking like, when are you coming back? How long are you staying? Like, how long are you making a flip to Delaware? Is it going to be a US company? Are you going to be here for a long time? What visa do you have? Are you bringing your kids over here? Which school your kids are going to go, right? So, because like they don't want to invest their long-term relationship in someone who's going to just come and go. Because the biggest trick of the community and the networking is not what you get from there, is what you give. So the first thing they will ask you is like what you give. So the same way I'm talking to the investors, not asking them, I'm saying them like, hey, look, I'm doing this big thing. It's like, I'm gonna do it with you, without you, with them, without them, whatever. I'm just gonna do that, right? This thing is going to change the world for sure.
Confidence is really important.
Right? And I have this brilliant team already behind me. So if you want to join us in this like beautiful trip of like 10 years at least, right? We are really welcome. It's gonna be fun. Like my investors are engaged. I give them not just the PDF updates. I involve them, I make a call with them, and I ask them a lot of questions. The more they invest in you already, not just the money, the time, the network, their wording, their like public speaking about you, the more they are engaged in helping you forward with their expertise, with their network, with their like money whenever you need it, if you need a bridge or whatever it happens, then they become part of your family. It's like a family. 10 years is a long time to go. I have had 2 marriages. None of them was 10 years. So hopefully it's going to be much better in the business line, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
investing
there.
in contacts, investing in relationships is super important. And, you know, this is what we're trying to do here, right? So,
Because,
yeah,
you know, like people who are making the investments, like let's be fair with everyone, right? They already have their money. This game for them is not about money. They already have their millions, billions, whatever. They want to be a part of an interesting game that you are playing. And if you make them feel that this game brings them money, brings them awareness, like every article that Soula has in PR, I can see some of the PR guys over here in this in the hall as well. Like my investors are like going crazy about that. They're proud. They're happy. They're sending those articles to each other. They're like, hey, look, we have invested in the right people. And like you need to make this game interesting for them. Otherwise, if you're just going to send them the PDFs, they will get bored in like a couple months, and that's it.
One correction. So they actually have other people money, not their money, or
yes,
and they play with other people
sure.
money.
If you're
But they want to
talking,
have fun.
yeah, you're talking about VCs. My experience is more about angel investors, right?
Okay.
Most of the money that I got was from the angel investors. With the VCs, is more or less the same because it's like a circle of an egg and a hen, right? So if a VC is investing in a startup which is like going and booming and so on, they can also go to their investors and tell them, look, we're not just getting silent over there. We are just trying to do as much as we can. And the good thing about the VC is that they can use their network of their angels as well. And usually this network is like, for example, right now, like Soula is going to check not just B2C, we're going to check B2B2C, right? We need to make some corporate things like pilots going with social benefits and so on. So the first thing what I didn't just go to LinkedIn and try to reach out to HRs. Why do I need to do that? I have a range of investors. I just set up a meeting with them and say, hey, look, guys, we need to show traction in B2B2C. Why don't we do it with your companies? You are the owners of the big companies that are running a lot of women on board. And that's how it works, right?
I mean, if you have this opportunity, for sure.
I mean, like through the VC, it's even easier because you go to a VC and
Yeah, because you
VC
already
have
have an existing
angels,
network,
and
right?
angels they are engaged. They want to be part of that game, right?
Totally. Guys, how do you feel about what Natallia has shared? Like, I feel like she brought a little bit of a different perspective in terms of what we were discussing. So
I'm sorry.
So if you comment, so I believe that it is possible to raise on storytelling and precedent seats. I've done this before, like telling the story.
For sure, you need to show numbers.
If you're in
after,
AI,
yeah.
you can also do Series A on just stories, but sooner or later you need to show that you have not only great idea but a very great business, and you need to have numbers that prove it.
But that's the question of an egg in a hand, right? To make that business, you need money to invest there, and to bring money over there, you need a story. You need to start from the storytelling, because from the storytelling you can get, like everyone is asking me about the team. How do you get the team like that I have inside if you don't have the great story to relate? Because most of the teams that got inside, 3 kids, 2 kids, blah blah. I'm a father. I have seen that. I want to be a part of that. Let's do that. Like Andrei Kulik was a CTO of One Soil. That was just about numbers, right? And now he's CTO of Soula, which is about family.
I agree. Yes, you always need to have a great story, always
to start.
Right, and then if you have numbers, you're even better off.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, guys, for interrupting you. You have a really nice conversation, and you can continue probably doing it at the networking session. I'm sorry, we have a timetable, and I'm the one who should say.
Let's ask a couple questions
sorry,
from the
guys.
audience.
You are so
maybe.
amazing. I can listen to you forever. Yeah.
Let's ask them from the audience if they have any questions. Maybe we need to.
One last question. Last.
Go ahead.
Okay, a very short one.
Hey guys, so my question is in terms of valuations. I mean, I think it's a great question to ask you because you all have lots of startups behind your backs, and like the valuation question, how do you understand that? Okay, 10% or 15% of your company is the right thing to give, and I mean, you had a lot of successful startups, then the valuation changes because you're a legit founder, you have MRR. Also, I don't know, it's a hot market. Like, how do you actually calculate?
How to price a startup,
yeah.
basically. Yeah. Anyone has any hacks?
Well, I can start this time because I don't know if I have a good answer to that question. I think it depends a lot on what you do, what stage, and all of that. And it is a very difficult question. I think one thing that has helped a lot is try to benchmark. So look at other companies that are doing similar things or even maybe the same that are VC backed, and try to get a feeling for that. Another thing is to actually fundraise and maybe just see when in discussions with investors, and turn it. You don't have to say what the valuation is, because maybe you can ask them to come up with the valuation and why, and let them come up with a suggestion. If you are successful, you might have a couple of term sheets, and then you can kind of compare. And in my experience, when I started to get a few term sheets, they are in a range, but they are not very much very different.
So one thing is that usually you start with how much money you need to achieve the next milestone. And then usually it is said that more or less for seed round, you'll have to give away like 20%. For Series A, somewhere between 15 to 25%. For Series B, 15%. For Series C, 10%. So it is all about how much money you need for the next 18 to 24 months to achieve your goals. And then the valuation is a kind of a reverse engineering of that. But usually when you say how much money you need, you will get 20% an offer. And then if you have lots of offers, you can just increase the valuation. So it is easier to start with money you want to raise. Then it will be more or less 20%. And then if you have lots of term sheets on the table, you will get the valuation up. I wouldn't start with very high valuation from the front, because less of the investors will dive in and negotiate. And you need to have competitive dynamics to drive the size of the round up and the price up.
It's not even that. Like, if you get too big of a evaluation right at some stage, and then you don't deliver, your startup is done. Like, nobody wants to be in that, because like there is no possibility of them ever getting their money back. So there's a lot of startups right now that raised when there was a bubble, and now they are slowly dying. They're cutting the workforce. They're trying to survive, but they eventually will never be able to justify such high valuations.
And I would say there is like a lot of data available, like Carta, they make summaries what the typical pre-seed seed. If you want to do better than that, make some friend that works at VC and ask them for data. And a lot of people got like a good opinion what's the reasonable range. And I would agree, start shooting from something reasonable that's like a standard or the market, and if you have competitive situation, uh, only tell how much money you need, what's the mini to your milestone. But if let's say if you already have several people, VCs are never are going to give less percentage. They already have in their portfolio, I need to invest roughly 10%. So if you have like a 2 leads, you need to give a 20%, but it's much easier to push for them. Okay, since there is competitive, why not 30%? And that's math is much easier for them if you have competitive situation.
I will add just one little thing to be back on earth, to like someone who is just starting to do a startup whenever you're starting to raise, right? Because I think that Soula is still a pre-seed and we are very early stage. When you fairly choose between closing a startup or doing your idea or not doing your idea, having to pay your like employees or not having to pay, sometimes these numbers and valuation doesn't matter so much. It's just a matter of juggling in your head. So what is more important for you right now? To get that money, even for a low valuation, but to get it, to get to the next point, or try to start fighting and going around and not getting that money. So it's just a strong decision of a founder and the CEO, like what is the biggest thing you need to do right now and how confident you are in the thing that if you won't get that money right now, will you survive tomorrow, right? Because right now is the timing of really hard fundraising. Like I have raised $1 million in Cyprus and in the Silicon Valley, they were like, what? You have raised $1 million in Cyprus? You're going to be fine here, girl, because it was really hard, right? So when you choose between going forward and like fighting for your valuation, it might never happen, your valuation that you want, if you don't do the right decision right now. So take any money you have right now and do it. Just go and do it.
Survival is #1 priority for sure. Yeah, well, all awesome advices, folks. Really, like you should follow that. All right, yeah, we've been told it's time. I really wanted to chat more, but thanks a lot, guys, for coming in.
Thank you.
Again, this is not the end by any means, right? Because like the main point of the event was to network, and so hopefully, you're able to catch them in the couloirs. You're able to catch to these folks, and yeah, just whenever you approach them, make sure to have something for them as well, right? Not only from
please.
them, but for them, right? All right. Any final words? Anything you want to share that you didn't share, but like you have it in your heart? Before we finish,
I want to tell you, go and do. Stop thinking and procrastinating. This is the biggest thing that I see everywhere. And this is the fear that we have inside of failure, which is stopping us from doing. Like, that's a different thing over there. And we have to take that culture over, that we need to go and do, to burn money, to make mistakes, to learn from those mistakes. And the quicker we do those mistakes, the quicker we learn. Of course, trying to optimize, but just try and go. It's better to do like when they present their startups over there, they say, I have had 2 exits or 1 exit. I have fucked up 5 startups. I have burned 10 million, blah, blah. You're looking at that and like, what? I mean, like, it's better to go and like not to succeed, but learn than like make a break of 3-4 months and then go and start doing again, because a startup is like an illness that you'll never get out of. Like you just want to more and more and more and get engaged, right? Even if you fuck it up, then you just want to go and start a new one, because it's like it's an amazing opportunity to meet people you will never ever meet if you will not start to do that. Like I was sitting out there and thinking like, I'm sitting in Berkeley here, a girl from a small town, having Natallia on board, having a lot of things inside. Could I ever even thought about this happening if I just didn't let myself go and do? with your closed eyes, because I'm afraid all the time. I have a lot of fear inside. Just close your eyes and do it.
All right, that's a good way to finish. Let's go and do. Let's go and do, folks. All right, thanks.